Well, hello everyone. I'm Brownfield's Rhiannon Branch, and I'd like to welcome you to this video series called Navigating Preparation for the 2023 Growing Season, a content partnership with Burrus Seed. Today we're going to talk about business solutions around that topic, and who better to cover those than part owner of Burrus Seed, Todd Burrus himself. Todd, thanks for joining us. How are you doing today?
I am great, thank you.
Very good. Well, let's go ahead and kick things off with just an introduction from you, Todd, maybe a little bit of your background and about Burrus.
Sure. So personally, I've been in agriculture all my life. This is the only place I've ever worked. And today I provide leadership for our agronomy services department. And so a handful of guys report to me, and our focus is on how we help customers know our products and know agronomically how to use them.
Let's start, Todd, with maybe a recap of the 2022 growing season so far and what that's looked like on the business side for you.
Sure. So, the 22 crop, honestly, right here locally, we have an excellent crop growing. Conditions have been favorable almost all summer long. Throughout our footprint, when you consider our business footprint includes Missouri, all of Illinois, and then a fringe on the surrounding states, our footprint has experienced a lot of different things. There's guys that have been dry. There's guys that are excessively wet now. Planting season was delayed in a significant area to finish up soybean planting as we kind of went through a wet spring. But the good news is our products appear to have adapted well, and we're in a very nice position to offer excellent solutions for our customers and a high level of satisfaction here in 22.
Very good. Well, with the 2022 season, we're kind of over halfway through at this point, but the 2023 season is already on the minds of a lot of our farmers. What kind of preparation is being done this time of year? What are your farmer customers preparing for next year?
Certainly. Well, here in the next, between now and harvest, many growers will be looking at opportunities to begin to lock in inputs for the 23 crop. And that is something that will be happening here in the nearby. And then pretty soon they're going to get busy with harvest. And then the mindset shifts over to product performance and simply logistics. How do we get that crop out of the field and into a bin? And that 23, that future look into 23 always begins a degree of anticipation and excitement that I really love about agriculture. We get to think about closing out a season and starting on a new one. And the thought of a new beginning is just a real positive thing. So you ask, hey, what have we been doing? Well, product selection guide went out to our customers that introduces not only which products from our current lineup are going to stay, but also the new products as they come in. We'll be starting our first field day where local customers are invited in to see the product portfolio, to feel, see, touch, and hear about how they can use those products to increase their yields for 23 growing season. And at the same time, our team is going to begin to look and say, how do we harvest and collect the data and information needed to develop a 24 strategy too? So it's an ongoing looking at now, but also looking to the future. That's part of the fun of agriculture.
I love that positive outlook, Todd, and I hate to turn it this direction, but let's focus a little bit on some of the challenges that growers are going to be facing as they prepare for 2022, kind of on the business side? I know you mentioned looking at inputs and things along those lines. I think those prices are something that's top of mind for them.
Well, it really is. And I think the key piece here is to keep things in perspective. So, realistically, the gross dollars coming off of an acre has increased nicely in the last 5 years, with both increase in product performance and yield capacity, along with an increase in that time frame of commodity prices. So the gross dollars coming off the farm is a real positive thing. We don't want to lose sight of that. We want to be thankful for that. At the same time, input costs have risen, and we use Gary Schnitke at the University of Illinois as a real nice authority to look at and understand what's going on economically on the farm. And we use our own experience too, don't get me wrong. But Gary is Dr. Schnitke is a nice independent source of information. And it's just interesting. He and I interacted back and forth, but fertilizer, for instance, chemicals are both gonna look at double-digit increases in terms of input cost for those two sectors. And the only key input that a grower is not looking at double-digit increases is actually seed. And I think it's one of those things that is it going to have an increase? Absolutely. There's an increase in cost. I think there's over 20 different pieces of seed pricing that we analyze before we can price our product. And it can be anywhere from bags to what's it cost to utilize the land to raise seed on, to seed treatment components. You name it, there's over 20 components. Every one of those components have gone up in cost. So it's unrealistic to think seed's going to go down in cost when all the components that build it have gone up. However, the fact that we're single-digit increases rather than double-digit increases over the last 5 years says one thing. It says the value of independent seed businesses. And the reason I say that, consolidation in the fertilizer and the chemical industry has left less options, and it appears that the input costs on those are going up more rapidly than the seed industry, where there's still a healthy regional independent seed business option that creates competition. And competition is what holds big business in check.
Todd, you've been around the business a long time. How do some of these challenges compare to last year, maybe when growers were preparing for 2022, or any other years that you can think of to compare to?
Well, you're absolutely right. There are some advantages to having experienced multiple crops. Now, there's some disadvantages to getting to this age too. Don't get me wrong, but there are some advantages. And quite frankly, when you look at the economics of agriculture, it has historically been cyclical. There'll be good times, and then there'll be times when we have to be satisfied with how are we going to break even for a couple of years so that we can get to the next good time. And that is just a part of agriculture. And, we're coming off of a couple of seasons where growers have had the opportunity through crop production, good agronomy, and good marketing to really turn a very nice margin for a period of time. And that's a great thing.
Todd, let's talk a little bit about some of the steps and practices that you guys are implementing at Burrus to maybe help minimize the costs passed on to the growers.
Absolutely. So there are a number of things that we bring to the table. One of the things that we do is we have a unique interplant system of hybrid seed corn production that gives us better utilization of the land, which then reduces the cost of that land input as it relates to seed costs. And that's a key piece in terms of advantage. On the other hand, we're very, very mindful that seed quality relates to better performance in our customers' fields. And so we look and say, while there are places that we might be able to cut costs, but if we cut costs that cut quality and it reduces that customer's experience and performance in his field, then we'd be making a mistake. And our goal is for the steps we take would, even if it has a cost to it, that the value that it returns to the grower is almost a 3-to-1. So if we spend an extra dollar in production, but the grower realizes $3 gain off of that extra dollar we've spent, then that should be a very, very happy customer. And it's a matter of us telling our story and delivering the goods in a fashion that the grower experiences the yield benefits from those, not foolishly reducing costs that might actually reduce their yield. And I think one of the issues that we come in contact with is growers can get so focused on input cost, but really the cost they need to most focus on is what is their cost of production per bushel that they grow on their farm. And sometimes a little more input cost that can increase yields more can actually reduce their cost of production, if that makes sense. It really comes down to, can I produce a bushel for less than I can sell it for? And then that margin is where that grower is going to make his profit. And so that's the place we need to focus. And we need to help growers work their way through the thought process of, how do I reduce my production costs, not my input costs?
Todd, can you dive a little bit deeper into that about how you're talking about that, how you're walking growers through that, and maybe some more things on the business side that the farmers should be thinking about going into 2023?
Well, it really is. It's a complex thing and one that we can walk growers through in many, many, many ways. But if seed quality, historically, seed quality can relate to as much as 18 bushel difference for the same genetics, low quality seed versus high quality seed. And hear me clearly, there's no seed business going to talk about, we're here to sell you low quality seed. But the reality is there are differences. Let me give seed treatment as an example. We added additional seed treatment component to our soybean seed treatment that cost about 50 cents additional cost that had to be passed on to that grower. And yet with that 50 cents, think about a half a bushel additional yield. Think about lower risk of replant due to better disease control and a seedling time frame. Well, the math would say a half a bushel of increased yield would be $7 per bushel, or $7 per acre, if you will. and we're asking for 50 cents additional for the cost, that's a great return on investment, and one that we had run the studies and knew the statistics were real, that that customer was going to get that added benefit of yield and the reduced risk of replant. And it was a no-brainer, but it didn't lower the cost of our seed treatment component. It actually added to it, but it was an added value that extended onto our customers. Does that explanation make sense?
Yes, Todd, I think that was a very, very good example for those listening in. Before we close things out, do you have anything else you would like to add in terms of what growers should be keeping an eye on as they enter the 2023 growing season, and any other advice on how they can best prepare for some of the challenges that lie ahead?
Well, I think the number one thing is to look at creating a partnership type relationship with the seed business. Studies have shown that the number one concern growers have about their seed business is honesty. Can they trust the information that's being delivered to them? And quite frankly, I look and I say, I know how diligently we go at making not only the evaluations, but what we print in our material is accurate. I know how diligently we are about presenting data, presenting real data that people can make good decisions from. And so trust is the number one step. The number two step in that successful relationship really is around how we think about product placement. A regional seed business like us will work with products that can improve yields with proper placement. Some products may do better if a grower's goals are later harvest. I need stronger standability. On this field, high productivity field, I need to maximize my yield potential on a different field. We'd recommend different products. One of the things that we have worked on is to help growers experience the digital space in a more concise and clear fashion. And it's an added value. So we don't charge for it, but our My Farms program is designed to help growers understand their performance from last year and to help growers know what product goes on which acre for next year with a planting plan that is executionable and in their terms that helps them know how to use the product and use it effectively. And that's all done as a value added. So it's not, I'm going to spend money to use it. It's actually something that Burrus brings to growers to help them use their information to increase the productivity off their acre. And I love the fact that we're in a position to help growers make better decisions. The third piece is just that we are a multiple brand company. We have Don Mario and Burrus soybeans. We have Power Plus and Burrus corn. That allows us the broadest genetic footprint, both on corn and soybeans, available in the industry, and diverse genetics, reduce risk, and increase yield potential. And those are the three key pieces as I think about what Burrus can bring to a grower to help them be successful in 23.
Very good, Todd. You mentioned a couple of them there, but do you have any other resources that you want to point farmers in the direction of to kind of help as they manage these decisions coming up?
Well, it depends on the grower and their desire for where they want to get their information. Many growers prefer a web-based source for information. And our website will, as soon as we start bringing in harvest data, it will have real-time performance from test plots listed. We participate in third-party university trials and first trials to show the performance of our product from a competitive standpoint. Our website allows growers to answer just a handful of questions to narrow the portfolio of recommendations for their farm is another tool. So web is one direction that many growers really like. And I'm going to say there's a different set of growers that really like the interpersonal interaction, and a knowledgeable company representative, whether it be a farmer dealer or one of our account managers, if you need walked through the products and how to use them on your farm, we can do that in a conversational type method also. And then the third option is, our company ownership, our cell phones are listed there as a resource. If you need information and you're not getting it any other way, don't be afraid to reach out to me. I'll do my best.
Well, thank you, Todd, for your expert insight on how to prepare for the 2023 growing season. And thank you to the audience for tuning in. You can check out the rest of this video series, including grower perspectives and agronomic management, at brownfieldagnews.com.